Gopal Janmashtami Manoharam Shri Guranga Nityananda Shri Vaita Chandra Gadara Shiva Shri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam. So hard to read. Anybody have a phone?
Should I bring my desk lamp from upstairs?
No, I got a desk lamp, but I don't know.
You have a plug here to plug it in?
Yeah, in the temple room. Yeah, we got a plug up there. So we'll read something about the glories of Janmashtami 2000. This is Janmashtami 2023, discussion about Krishna's glorious birth, Krishna Jayanti. And we'll read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Sartadarshini commentaries by Sri Krishna Chakravarti Bhatt. If I just put it there. That's good. Krishna Chakravarti Bhatt, and we'll read from Lagu Bhagavatamrita. So first we'll read from the Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 3. There's some highlights about the birth of Krishna that Vishwanath wants us to pay attention to, so we can read those. He said, although it was when Krishna was born in August, it was monsoon, still monsoon season, but the weather was like autumn. The sky was like autumn. It was a clear sky, not a cloudy sky like the rainy season. It was a clear sky. So, and then also it was rainy season, but the spring flowers from spring were blossoming, and the lotuses usually bloom in the daytime. The lotus flowers are blooming at night. Night blooming lotuses. So that's one thing. Then he also says that stars were brilliant, and everything was very auspicious, of course. And he quotes in verse 8, he quotes from Harivamsa Puran. It says that Yashoda and Devaki gave birth prematurely. They both gave birth in the 8th month of pregnancy rather than the 9th month, before the expected time, to bewilder Kamsa, because Kamsa was expecting the 8th child that Devaki would kill him, and she was waiting for 9 months, and already it happened in 8 months. And he quotes a Shastra here that gives the exact astrological situation at the time of Krishna's birth. He was Taurus, Vrisha was ascending. Taurus was ascending. Another point he makes in the next couple of verses is about the moon. Waning time of the moon, eighth position. But the moon was so, Chandradev was so happy that he showed all his 16 phases. So although today is Astami, and to our eyes we'll only see the Astami moon, and when Krishna appeared it was Purnima, because the moon was happy. Just like in Rasa Lila and Rasa Purnima in Chaitra Minor, it's a Maharaj dance. That's nice. Sound effects. Chaitra Minor, Krishna appeared in Purnima, and that was the night of the Maharaj dance. And every night there's a rasa dance. That's what's the 5 chapters of the rasa dance. That's called Maharaj dance. That happened in Chaitra Purnima, which is in April. So at that time, the full moon was so happy that Krishna was dancing rasa that he stayed on the top of the sky all night. In fact, it was the whole night of Brahma. So the moon is a very powerful entity. he can make himself big or small according to his desire. So that's some points. And it describes many things about nature. Everything was going nicely. The breeze, the rivers, the trees, everything was happy because Krishna had come. In other words, everyone was unhappy under the cruel and atrocious rule of King Kamsa. All the Yadavas and Brishnis, most of them fled away from Mathura and went to neighboring kingdoms like Rajasthan or Haryana to escape the atrocities and harassment of Kamsa. Some that didn't go, they couldn't go for one reason or other, like Vasudeva, they were arrested. But it's interesting in the commentaries it says that Vasudeva was allowed to live in his home. He lived in his own home, but when his wife was about to give birth, then Kamsa would arrest his wife and him and lock him up. Because the impression one gets, if he doesn't study the commentaries of Bhagavatam, is that as soon as after they were married, and Kamsa drove the chariot of his sister Devaki, and Akashvani, a aerial voice made an announcement, the 8th child of your sister is going to kill you. The impression is from Bhagavatam that immediately at that time hearing that Akashvani sky voice, that Kamsa arrested and locked him up in prison with chains and all that. But the acharyas say that's not what the situation was. Because he let them stay in his own palace, Vasudeva's palace, with his Kamsa's sister Devaki. And when the first child was born, Vasudeva freely came to Kamsa and offered a child to him. So Kamsa had trust, gentleman's agreement, that Vasudeva is a virtuous person. He gave him the first child. And Kamsa, of course, killed the first child and all first 6 children. So that's just one other fine point that's brought in the commentaries also. That when Devaki's, so now Devaki's giving birth at home, and it says that she was in jail for the last month. So this birth of Krishna in Mathura, Devaki Nandan, at that time he was arrested. He was arrested in the last month of Devaki's pregnancy. But before that, they were home. That's what it said. So let's see what other points are in this commentary. One point he makes in the commentary, because mostly when you study Puranas or study Upanishads, they explain that the Vishnu is the Supreme Lord, and Krishna's, even you look up in the dictionary, it says Krishna's the eighth avatar of Vishnu. So the general consensus of Vedic wisdom, Upanishads and Puranas, is that Krishna is an amsha of Vishnu. But we follow the Goswamis and Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya and the 6 Goswamis, they've established that the primary Shastra that supersedes all other Shastras is the Srimad Bhagavatam. And Jiva Goswami explains in Sandarbhas, and also the Bhagavatam itself, it says in 12th canto, Sarva Vedanta Saramhi Sri Bhagavatam Ishyate. The Srimad Bhagavatam is essence, Sarva Vedanta Sar, it's the essence of all Vedanta. So Vedanta means Vedanta Sutra and the Upanishads, which is the Shrutis. So, that's why I often say the absolute truth is subjective. Because most Brahmins and Acharyas and Vidvan personalities, they argue from Puranas that Vishnu is supreme. There's a whole Purana called Vishnu Puran. This is Bhagavad Puran. But we follow Lord Chaitanya, who said the Bhagavatam is the primary evidence, Mukhya Praman. He called it Paramahansa Samhitam. So in this discussion of Krishna's birth, because when Krishna appeared in Mathura, he looked like Vishnu. When he appears as son of Devaki, it says spirits of Krishna, Krishna's birth, Devaki and Vasudeva, but he had 4 arms. He had a full head of hair, he had a golden, came out of the womb with a golden crown on his head, and bracelets and rings and everything, and a full head of hair. And they were amazed. Vasudeva and Devaki were, what is this? What kind of kid is this? And then they said, no one will believe that you're my son, you're God. And they had all this majestic and respectful prayers that Vasudeva and Devaki offered. And he said, please hide this form, because this is great. This is not good. So in this commentary, this is Vasudeva offers prayers to Krishna, that you're Bhagavan, you're God, you're Vishnu, you're this or that. And Devaki follows suit. And then the commentary by Vishwanath in 10th Canto, chapter 3, verse number 19, he brings out the point of Vishnu. What is the difference between Vishnu and Krishna? So we can read his commentary. What is the difference between Krishna and Vishnu? And this point is also discussed everywhere by Sanatana Goswami and Briha Bhagavatamrita, by Rupa Goswami and Lagu Bhagavatamrita, which we'll quote from also. So he says, what is the difference between Krishna and Vishnu? Krishna and Vishnu are one in tattva, but different in ras. One in tattva means they're both Bhagavat tattva, they're both Bhagavan. They're both the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he explains here, the form of Krishna is distinct in terms of ras, although he's one with other forms of Vishnu. So Vishnu is Krishna and Krishna is Vishnu. Because even the Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, it talks about Vasudeva and Narayan. Narayana, we say, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We glorify Bhagavatam. So it's even in Bhagavatam, it's kind of hidden. Only one verse actually says that Krishna is supreme, and that's in the first canto of the Bhagavatam, chapter 3, verse 28. It says, Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swayam, Ishvara Bhagavan. So let's see what else he said. According to transcendental realization, there is no difference between Narayana and Krishna. Yet in Krishna, there is special transcendental attraction due to the Madhurya Sringarati, the Madhurya Ras, the amorous love of Krishna and Radharani. Thus, Krishna surpasses Narayana. This is the conclusion of transcendental mellows. This verse, Vishwanath quotes a verse from Bhakti Rasmita Sindhu. First wave, chapter 2, verse 59, which is the same verse which is quoted in Lagu Bhagavatamrita. So I want to now switch over to Lagu Bhagavatamrita and read some discussion about this, the comparison of Vishnu and Krishna and Narayan. Because all Indian people around the world feel that they believe, according to Puranas and Upanishads, that Vishnu is supreme, Narayana is supreme. So this is basic philosophy. The Leela of Krishna's birth, everyone knows. But it's very important to review this philosophy time to time, because most of the time we spend all our time meditating on Leelas and Radha Krishna Sakaya Leela. But it's also helpful to have a foundation of Tattva to remember who is this Krishna we're dealing with. So, Lagu Bhagavatamrita, he describes this point very extensively, the comparison of Krishna and Vishnu. A little hard to see, but try to navigate your way through here. Because Brihad Bhagavatamrita is a big book, a big story, two big main stories, Narada Muni and Gopal Kumar. And Rupa Goswami, the Lagu Bhagavatamrita, which is just the essence. So I want to highlight some of those points. So here he explains. Rupa Goswami has a verse, he says, Bhagavatam is the essence of Vedanta, it's the fruit of the tree of the Vedas. This alone is the authoritative scripture concerning all topics of Siddhanta. So we follow the Goswamis and they accept the Bhagavatam as the perfect praman, evidence for all spiritual truths. So now he wants to establish the Krishna Swayam Bhagavan. So there's two primary verses from the Bhagavatam that establish the fact that Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. One is 3rd Canto, Chapter 2, verse 21, and one is 1st Canto, Chapter 3, verse 28. So in 3rd Canto he says, Swayam to Asam, and it goes on like that. So here's the commentary, which is by Baladev Vidyabhushan, who is a student of Vishwanath Chakravarti. So he says, here Rupa Goswami is explaining the superiority of Krishna's form over Vishnu. In what way? In terms of form, powers, and name. And it's also proven that Krishna is supreme. What about Lakshmi? Does anyone can tell me about Lakshmi Devi? How does she prove that Krishna is supreme?
Because she wanted to enter a rasa.
Because she left her husband. That's solid proof. Lakshmi Devi left Vaikuntha as soon as Krishna started playing the flute, and came to Brajmanda, led to Rasalila because of attraction. Krishna's form and qualities are more attractive than Vishnu. It's proven by his Lakshmi Devi herself. His own wife left him, and she came to Bilavan, and she's still there doing austerity, sitting in Padma Asana like a yogi. You can go see her there. Remember? The Yogi Lakshmi. And we have Lakshmi Nrsimha and all these different forms of Vishnu. So we have Lakshmi, Yogini Lakshmi. She's in Padmasana. What are her hands doing? Usually Lakshmi's blessing. Her hands are like this. She's not giving blessing, she's begging for blessing. She's begging for Ashirvad, blessing of the Brijvasis. Please bless me, Gopi Bal. So Krishna is superior to Vishnu in terms of form, power, and name. And by the fact that the Lakshmi Devi desired to attain Krishna. And the best of Gyanis, Uddhava Mahashaya, also describes the supremacy of Krishna. Only Krishna is Swayam, or independent. This means that Krishna's powers do not depend on anyone else. There is no equal to or anyone superior to the form of Krishna. He is the master of Vaikuntha, of all the realms above Vaikuntha, Gokul, Mathura, and Dwarka. Now we have to skip ahead here. Indian books are like this. They say the same points, but they say them different places, so it's hard to weave it all together. This is another point to establish the supremacy of Krishna or Narayan or Vishnu. The human-like pastimes of Krishna are more pleasing than the pastimes of Narayan or Vishnu and Vaikuntha. Why? Because of the variety and astonishing nature and sweetness The variety and astonishment, the chamatkar aspect is Ascharya. Ascharya means amazing. How do you translate it? Astonishing, Ascharya. It's interesting, the Sanskrit word Ascharya means astonishing, almost sounds. It says Ascharya, Madhurya, and Virya. These sweetness and astonishing pastimes of Vrindavan, of Krishna, they cover his power and majesty. The human-like pastimes of Krishna are far more pleasing, manohara, and mind-stealing than the pastimes of Narayan. Why? Because of variety and astonishment and the sweetness of his human-like dealings. He only has 2 arms and he plays the flute. He doesn't throw chakras around, 4 arms and all that. Narayan is obviously different form. And he explains the word Swaya means that the form of Krishna is the root, the source of all forms of the Lord, which are endowed with good qualities. Now, let's skip ahead. Because he kind of sidetracks into different points and comes back to the main point. So I like to link it all together. It is mentioned that Lakshmi had only a desire for Vishnu's chest. She did not, however, have the qualification to attain his chest. Lakshmi is always fixed on the chest, and this means she desired to embrace Krishna. Lakshmi, this is verse 349 from chapter 5 of Bhagavad Gita. Lakshmi Devi is always fixed on the chest of Narayan. Sada Bhaksha Stavi by Kanteshwara. But she has the desire to embrace Krishna's chest. So this point of desiring to embrace Krishna's chest instead of Vishnu's, Narayan, shows the superior Krishna's form. Because these are the 3 points he made, that Krishna's form is, Krishna is superior to Narayan in terms of form and pastimes and sweetness. So he's explaining one by one. A story from Padma Purana is here presented, Rupa Goswami says. Lakshmi Devi saw the beauty of Krishna and she desired to attain Krishna. So seeing her performing austerities, Krishna once came to Balavan and said, Devi, why are you doing austerities? And Lakshmi said, I desire to perform pastimes with you in Vrindavan. Krishna said, that's very rarely achieved. Well, she said, at least maybe I can become a golden line on your chest. It's called Lakshmi Rekha. What's it called? There's some other name for it also. It's Swarna Rekha. Well, Rekha means line, Swarna means gold. So she said she wanted to be a golden line. So Krishna said, Tatastu. Okay, you can be a golden line. Big deal. A golden line. So that's how she became situated on his chest as a golden line. So in his sky blue, or monsoon rain cloud blue chest, there's a golden line there. Very interesting. And the Nagapatnis, the wives of Kaliya, they prayed in the 10th canto. Lakshmi Devi performed austerities for centuries, giving up all their desires and performing austere vows to attain Krishna as her lover. But she didn't have it. So the commentary, a very interesting point, because some people may question the chastity of Lakshmi Devi. Lakshmi Devi runs away from her husband, Narayan and Vaikuntha Vishnu, to come and attain Krishna. So Baladev addresses this point of impropriety or adharma in this commentary on verse 352 in chapter 5 of Lagu Bhagavatamrita. Lakshmi Devi desired the dust of the feet of Krishna, so she gave up all traces of majestic rasa and Vaikuntha and performed austerities in Braj. One should not think that there's some rasa vas, unsuitable mixture of rasa, because Lakshmi's Sai Bhav was distorted by her desire for another man. Well, another form of Godhead, we could say. Because her what is the Sai Bhav of Lakshmi Devi? Madhurati, right? Madhurati and Swakiya Bhav, not Parakiya Bhav. But here's the answer. Since Vishnu and Krishna are non-different, one in tattva, there's no question of desiring another man. In other words, Krishna is another aspect of Vishnu, Vishnu is another aspect of Krishna. It depends on how you look at it. We say Vishnu is an aspect of Krishna, and other Vaishnavas and other followers of Vedic Dharma and Puranas say Krishna is an aspect of Vishnu. Because they're one in tattva, Vishnu tattva, Bhagavata. And he quotes again the verse, Siddhanta's Veda. There's no difference in Siddhanta between Vishnu and Krishna. But Ras, this verse, the same verse from Ras, Bhakti Rasa Sindhu, wave 1, chapter 2, verse 59. They're one in Siddhanta, one in Tattva, but different in Ras. Rasa Sthiti. And then he explains, because Rupa Goswami said, the form of Krishna is superior to Vishnu and Ryan. And he said the name is superior. So you say that, what's the proof? The proof is Brahmanda Puran. The result of chanting 1,000 names of Vishnu, you get the same result. Excuse me, the result of chanting 1,000 names of Vishnu 3 times, you get by chanting what? One name of Krishna. Chanting Krishna's name, Eka Krishnasya Nam. You have to chant 3,000 Vishnu names. So Rupa Goswami is stating defining his points. By form and by name, Krishna is supreme. Got it? You got it, okay. So that's that. Now there's that's the main thing. So now, well, there's a lot of different points. So the idea you want to prove that Krishna is superior to Vishnu. We all know that. But this is a day to glorify Krishna. So we have to also establish the tattva of Krishna. So the whole book of Lagu Bhagavatamrita is establish the tattva of Krishna. So if people would say, well, Rupa Goswami wrote Reducta Madhavali, and he wrote Savamala, and he wrote Bhakti Rasa Ujjvala Nilamani. So let's just read Ujjvala Nilamani and Bhakti Rasa Ujjvala, that's all. That's not the way of bhajan taught by the Goswamis. They gave us the essential books to read. So there's so many Puranas are summarized here. This is like Brihad Bhagavatamrita without the story. It's called Lagu. It's a small, abbreviated summary study of the Bhagavatam. So we should study these books also. They're all in the books, required reading list for Diksha also. Maybe, did you read this one?
This was not required.
Maybe this wasn't on the list. But now, for the next 30 years, you're just going to be using you should show respect, because we're following Rupa Goswami, should show respect to read the books at least once. That's why they're there. I give you a soft copy of any of these books. This is the proper foundation for Bhakti Bhajan. Because we're supposed to follow Rupa and Raghunath. So what did Rupa do? Rupa's read all these books. What did Raghunath do? Raghunath studied all these books. He studied all these books from Vrindavan. He read all the books of Rupa Goswami and studied them. That's how he got the Siddhanta to write his own books. Who is the Shiksha Guru of Raghunath Das Goswami? Rupa Goswami. And every book he has so many pranam prayers, Rupa Goswami. And who is the teacher of Krishna's Kaviraj? Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami. So we shouldn't overlook these books and think, oh, I'm very advanced, so I don't need these books. So we'll highlight, I read through this book. I read it a few times already in my life. I read it to prepare for class. I read the whole book and picked out certain interesting points to share with everyone on this holy day of Jayanti. Some key, very interesting points. The book has 450 pages, and the first points that I want to discuss are on page 285. That saves a lot of reading. But it's a great book. It's a mercy, it's nectar actually. Hard to manage everything. So 285, showing the book he wants to explain how Krishna and Krishna alone is supreme. So he had some idea about Krishna as supreme to Narayana and Vishnu, which is later in the book. I should have done it more systematically. But first he wants to prove that Krishna is superior to Vishnu. But before he discussed that, which I discussed that because that's in the commentary of the birth of Krishna in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, chapter 3. Vishwanath pointed out this one in Tattva, Vishnu and Krishna, different in Leela. So I supplemented that by quoting from Lagu Bhagavatamrita. But now in Lagu Bhagavatamrita, he describes how Krishna is superior to Brahman. Why? Because he's a full manifestation of qualities such as sweetness, which you don't find in Brahman. And so that's one point that of course we know, but Krishna's qualities, this is a very interesting point, Krishna's qualities arise from his own Sarup. The qualities of Vishnu and liberated souls are not different from their Sarups. So those who are Mukta Purushas are liberated. The qualities they distribute, the qualities they display are actually qualities of their spiritual body. Their love, their kindness, their compassion, everything, their spiritual qualities, just like Krishna has Bhakti-Vatsalya, he shows affection for his devotees, but that affection is coming from his own form. The material qualities produced from sattva don't exist in Krishna. So Rupa Goswami says this proves there's no material qualities in Krishna. What does the word Bhagavan mean? Rupa Goswami says it means someone who is complete with power of mind. Power of mind, power of senses, power of body. He has influence, control, and beauty, and he's devoid of all inferior qualities. And he quotes this verse he quoted is from Vishnu Puran. So Krishna, because the people say that Brahman has no qualities and Krishna has no qualities because he's just a form of Brahman. When Brahman takes form, this is what the Vaitans say. When Brahman takes a form in this world, it becomes Ram, Vishnu, Krishna. But the Vaishnavas say that his form is superior to Brahman. Brahman is the Jyoti of Brahman is the Jyoti of Bhagavan. And Bhagavan has unlimited spiritual qualities, no material qualities. And then According to Bhagavad Sandarbha, qualities of Krishna are described. He has power of the senses. Means Krishna has control over everything. He has influence over everything. And he's famous for the qualities of his body, mind, and speech. The Shastras, the Puranas, and the Upanishads say that the Absolute Truth has no qualities, but he has no inferior material qualities. He possesses many transcendental qualities which are eternally present and never separated from him. His qualities arise from his truth. So he is his qualities. A lot of tough here, huh? Anyway, I'll just read the entries I have. Now another point that the Goswamis want to establish, this is a little difficult one, because in India, everyone thinks that Ram is superior to Krishna. So Rupa Goswami wants us to understand that this is not the fact. Of course, as I said, Ram Bhaktas will never believe that Krishna is superior to Ram. So again, the absolute truth is subjective. You see it your way. But we follow our Goswamis, we follow Mahaprabhu, and they accept that Krishna is the supreme. So Rupa Goswami discusses this topic because this is a very common thing. So we should have some understanding of it also. How Krishna is superior to Ram. Because here it gets a little more difficult to differentiate. Because Ram has Nara Leela, Vishnu doesn't really have any Nara Leela. But Ram has Nara Leela, human-like pastimes. And they're very sweet also, his pastimes are very sweet. So it gets a little hard to discriminate the supremacy of Krishna and Ram. So this is an interesting argument is presented by Rupa Goswami. Although the Bhagavatam 9th canto, this is Rupa Goswami's verse. This is chapter 3, verse 305. The Bhagavatam 9th canto says that Ramchandra has no equal or superior. This statement is true because Ram is equal to Krishna. The word Swayam, however, the word Swayam is not used to describe Ram in the 9th canto of Bhagavatam. The dear form, the beloved form of Ram is considered one with Krishna because of his human form, human-like pastimes, and nature are similar to Krishna. Though this verse, 9th canto of Bhagavatam, chapter 11, verse 20, says there's no equal or superior, the word Swayam is not used there in the 9th canto to describe Ram. Now we'll read the next page. Because imagine how much difficulty it was 500 years ago for Rupa Goswami to establish the supremacy of Krishna. Now we take it for granted Krishna is supreme. But even today, most of India, they'll say Ram is supreme or Vishnu is supreme. So it's an uphill battle, but this was a duty given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Rupa and Sanatan. Go to Vrindavan and write books to establish the supremacy of Krishna and to establish the Gaudiya Tattva-Siddhanta. So this book was inspired and ordered by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Rupa Goswami to write. There's two verses in the Bhagavatam which use the word Swayam. One is 3rd canto of Bhagavatam, chapter 2, verse 21, and 1:328. These two verses from Bhagavatam, this is verse 307, chapter 5, Lagu Bhagavatam, they're used to describe the supreme powers of Krishna. Repeating the word Swayam conveys the idea that Krishna is no superior at all, because no other form is equal to Krishna. The repetition of the word Swayam indicates the conclusion. Then he quotes from book called Brihad Samhita. Brihad Samhita. The meaning of a passage or word is fixed. It's the technical thing here. But in other words, because this word is used twice in the Bhagavatam in relation to Krishna, and is not used in relation to Narayan, Vishnu, or Ram, that proves that Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan, and not Ramachandra. That's the argument he wants to use, he established. He mentions again 20 pages later about Ramachandra. For some reason he goes into other things in between. Okay, Jai Shivani. About the unique position of Krishna or Ram is described by the Mathura Ramanis, the women of Mathura, in 10th canto, chapter 44, verse 14. When Krishna Balaram entered Mathura, they said, Gopias, they glorified the gopis. Gopias tapa kimacharan yadamusya rupam. Lavanya saram asamurdam ananya siddham. This is the key line. Lavanya saram asamurda ananya siddham. So the Mathura Ramanis glorify the Braj Gopis. What austerities did they perform to attain Krishna as their lover? With their eyes, they always drink the nectar of Krishna's form. And what is Krishna's form? It's Lavanya Saram. It's the essence of all loveliness. Asamurva. Nothing is equal to it, nothing is superior to it. And Krishna is the only abode of beauty, fame, and opulence. Krishna is self-perfect, ever fresh, and extremely rare. So this is another verse. This phrase, you can't describe Ramachandra with these Lavanya Saram Asamura Ananya Siddham. That's what Rupa Goswami is saying. Now, here's a question we ask. Why did Krishna appear in this world? What does Rupa Goswami say about that? Let's see it here. It's pretty austere tonight for everyone. No one's eating. It's late at night. No one's eating. And his philosophy is a sure way to put everyone. It's the surest sleeping fellow. I'm the only one awake because I'm reading. But this is our duty to hear about the Mahima of Krishna on his birthday. So try to stay awake if you can. If you can't, also I can serve your cause, you can go to sleep. This is chapter 5 of Laga Bhagavatamrita, describing more of Krishna's glories, because that's what we're supposed to hear, the glories of Krishna. Namru Gun Leela. So this is Tava Siddhanta, to establish a strong foundation of the power and beauty and greatness of Krishna. So why does Krishna appear in this world? Swalila, this is verse 388, chapter 5 of Laga Bhagavatamrita. Swalila Kirti Vistarat Lokeshana Anujigrisuta Asya Janmati Lilanam Prakatya Hater Uttamam. Hater Uttamam, the supreme benefit, Swalila Kirti. Krishna shows his Leela. The ultimate cause of Krishna's birth is to show mercy to devotees, practicing bhakti. Anugraha. and broadcast the glory of its pastime. The main reason for Krishna's appearance is not to remove demons from the earth or to establish Dharma. The two main reasons are to give mercy to his devotees. I hope. His name explains this point more. Krishna is merciful when his dear devotees are afflicted by fearsome demons. This is the ultimate cause of Krishna's appearance. Hetu Uttam. So the ultimate cause of Krishna's appearance is to show his mercy and love to his devotees. The prayers of the Devatas and the prayers of Brahma that prayed in chapter 2 of the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, they have prayed so many. Brahma went to the milk ocean and prayed for Vishnu to save the world. That's a secondary reason. And this is verse 391 in chapter 5. Even today, Krishna reveals himself to his dear devotees who are full of the pain of longing to see Krishna in his pastimes. So this applies to the devotees like ourselves. We're doing bhajan, so Krishna gives us darshan today. It says adyapi means today. This darshan utkantita nija priya. The dear devotees, Krishna's dear devotees, have intense eagerness because he's Kripanidhi. Krishna's Kripanidhi. He's an ocean of mercy. He shows his lila to devotees even today, which means right now. Then we have Utkanta Artha. We're full of eagerness and full of desire to see Krishna. So these verses describe how Krishna's form is eternal, it's eternally in Vrindavan, and he appears to devotees who are eager to see him. He used again in verse 392, he says, even today, pure devotees overcome by ecstasy and prema see Krishna playing in Vrindavan. Drishyate Krishna Krita Vrindavanantare. Vrindavanantare means in Vrindavan, Krita means Lila, they see the Bhagavad Uttama, the Uttama Bhaktas, they see Krishna with the eyes of prema. Now, Rupa Goswami, towards the end of the book, he explains how to see Krishna. That's an important thing to know. All the acharyas and all the writings of their books, they say a devotee should be anxious, eager to see Krishna. This is chapter 5 of Lagu Bhagavatamrita, verse 411. Krishna speaking. He's quoting some book here. Rupa Goswami is quoting a shastra entitled Moksha Dharma. And Krishna is speaking to Narada Muni in Moksha Dharma. Because Narada Muni asked Krishna, how can I see your form? Because your form is spiritual. So what did Krishna say? The cause of seeing my spiritual form is my personal desire only. Suddenly, by my will, I will disappear. So the commentary by Babaji Vijayabhushan says, one whose eyes Krishna anoints with the bhakti will see Krishna's spiritual form. Seeing, Krishna goes on to speak to Narada Muni, seeing my form is caused by my spiritual energy of mercy and desire, manifested by me alone. So there's two qualities, there's two causes for seeing Krishna's form. One is Krishna's desire to show it. Maybe he doesn't want to show you. One is Krishna's desire, is caused by my spiritual energy, Krishna's mercy and his desire. The two things are required to see Krishna. His desire to show it and his mercy. Sounds like one entity, but Rupa Goswami is describing as two qualities of Krishna. He has to have a desire to show you himself, and he has to express that desire by showing you, bestowing mercy. One is his desire, okay, I want to show you. I want to show myself to you. Krishna decides. You're a nice devotee, you have a lot of love, you have love for me. I want to show. So now I'll express my desire to give you darshan by giving my mercy. So then, what is the fruit you get Krishna's mercy? He gives you the eyes to see him. Because bhakti, prema bhakti is a gift of Krishna. Because you can't see Krishna without praying. So how do you get prema? Krishna instills the prema into the heart of the devotees when he sees their eagerness and when he wants to. If Krishna doesn't give us prema, we can't get prema on our own endeavor. It's a gift of Krishna. It's more about seeing Krishna a couple pages from now. He repeats the same point in verse 421, chapter 5. Swayam prakasha tva shakti svecha prakashaya. Krishna, Rupa Goswami says in verse 421, chapter 5 of Laghu Bhagavatamrita. Krishna, by his own self-revealing energy, means Swayam Prakash, and by a manifestation of his own desire, Svecha Prakash and Swayam Prakash, he appears to the eyes. Krishna is not a normal object to be seen by the eyes. Without mercy, our eyes cannot see Krishna. Although Krishna is eternally unmanifest, he can be seen by his own mercy. I have a few more minutes. This is how are Krishna's leelas eternal? Now this is an interesting discussion, because Siddha saints that live in Vrindavan, they have darshan of Krishna's leelas. So we're trying to endeavor to become siddhas ourselves, some lifetime, sometime, somehow or other. We want to also become perfect in bhakti bhajan and qualified for Krishna's mercy and his desire, so we can see Krishna's leela here in Vrindavan. So Krishna's leelas are eternal here in Vrindavan. So he explains in chapter 5 of Laghu Bhagavatamrita, Krishna's pastimes are two types, limited and unlimited. Thus the eternal nature of Krishna's leela is clearly stated in Puranas, Bhagavatam, and other scriptures. such as Gopal Upanishad. I added that. Though there is a beginning and end to Krishna's pastimes, connected with his form, associates, and abode, as soon as a portion of one pastime finishes in one place, it begins in another place. Because each pastime continues without break somewhere else. It is eternal. So somewhere right now, Krishna is swinging on swing. In some other universe, Krishna is getting squirted with color. Some other universe, Krishna is getting Abhishek. In some other universe, he's having a 4-day birthday party in Nandagram. Radharani stays for 4 days in his house in Nandagram to celebrate his birthday. That's told by Sri Krishna in Gutika. So the first canto of Bhagavatam, chapter 10, verse 26, describes the eternal nature of Krishna's pastimes. The Dwarkavasis, and Krishna was in Dwarka, the Dwarkavasis were saying, how fortunate is Mathura Mandala, where Krishna was born and still wanders in play. Swa Janmana Chakramaya Chanchati. The word Chanchati means wander, and it's not here, it's in the present tense. So the Dwarkavasis are saying, Krishna appeared in Mathura Mandala, and he's still there playing in Mathura Mandala. He still wanders. So it's eternally Krishna's. This confirms the eternal nature. Baladev Vibhushan's commentary says this verse, quoted by Rupa Goswami, proves the eternal nature of Krishna's pastime. The word Chanchati, Rupa Goswami says, the word Chanchati is in present tense to denote the eternal nature of Krishna's pastime. What's a verse from Bhagavatam? 90th chapter proves the eternal nature of Krishna's pastime. Anyone know that verse? Chapter 90. I think it's almost the last verse. The last chapter of 10th canto of Bhagavatam, chapter 90. At the end of Dwarka, there's a verse quoted there. Shukadeva Goswami says, Jayati Janivas Devaki Janmavado. He says, all glories to Krishna's pastime. He remains eternally in Vrindavan with the gopis. This is another verse from Bhagavatam. Shokamai Shukadeva, at the end of Bhagavatam, 10th canto, it says that Krishna lives eternally among the coward men of Vrindavan, and he's always fulfilling the desires of the gopis of Vrindavan. Skanda Puran, Narada Muni speaks to Yudhisthira, Mathura Kanda. O Yudhisthira, Krishna plays with the calves and cows and Baba and all other boys even today in Vrindavan. But Narada, Rupa Goswami says, when Narada and Yudhisthira were speaking together, Krishna was living in Dwarka. Thus, because they were speaking in the present tense about Krishna playing Vrindavan, it shows that Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan are eternal. So we're living here in Vrindavan. Confirmed. Hoping to have darshan of Krishna's Leela. So now we'll end our class. Jai Jai Shri Radhe.